Hey everyone, I'm Father Jeff Loseke, and it's time once again to get ready for Sunday Mass. This week is the 24th Sunday in Ordinary Time, and as we come to church today, listen for two concepts: anger on the one hand, forgiveness and mercy on the other. Our journey is going to begin with Sirach in the Old Testament reading. Sirach is one of those guys who spent some time thinking about what it means to live according to God's law and how we do that more perfectly. The first words out of his mouth on Sunday we're going to hear are these: anger and wrath are destructive things, and yet the sinner clings to them. Anger and wrath. This is that destructive force that wells up within us when things don't go our way or when someone doesn't do something we want them to do. Anger and wrath tear people apart. They destroy things. And yet the sinner clings to them, Sirach says. Sin breaks us down. Sinner ruins our own heart and our relationship with God. And when we are in that wilted space, we want to feel strong again. Anger is a feeling that feels strong. Anger makes us feel powerful. We begin yelling, we throw things, we slam things, we make ourselves big, we hit. These are things that feel strong. The sinner clings to anger because it makes him feel strong. It makes him feel that he's in control. But it's really just eating away at his heart. And so Sirach encourages us to turn instead and let the power of God's mercy overflow to change us, to make us strong truly. St. Paul, in his letter to the Romans, encourages the Christians of the first century to live not for themselves, but to live for God and God alone. Whether we live or whether we die, we live for God, we die for God. This is St. Paul's advice, and it's good advice for us to hear. Because whenever we try to be in control of everything, whenever we live only for ourselves, that puts more pressure upon us than we're able to handle as human beings. We can't control everything, and we are not the savior of the world. All of that pressure then causes the anger to flow within us when things don't go our way, when things aren't happening the way they're supposed to. A natural reaction is anger because we want to be strong again. Jesus, in the gospel, encourages his disciples to forgive. Peter comes forward and asks Jesus, "How many times am I supposed to forgive? 7 times?" Now, Peter says that because the number 7 is symbolic of perfection, of completeness. So when Peter says this to Jesus, he's probably asking Jesus, am I supposed to forgive my brother who sins against me perfectly? Instead of saying yes, Jesus calls him even further beyond that. Peter, not just 7 times, 77 times you must forgive. In other words, don't just be perfect in your forgiveness, be perfectly perfect. And here's how you do that. And he tells the story of the master and his servants who owe him money. The first servant owes him a great deal and cannot pay that debt. He goes to the master asking for forgiveness, and the master forgives that debt. Rather than being thankful and grateful and celebrating, that servant turns around and finds someone who owes him money. He is not like his master. He doesn't forgive the debt, but rather he lets anger build up within him. He grabs his fellow servant, he shakes him, he chokes him, he wants his payment. This troubles the other servants, so they tell the master. And the master hauls him in and says, I showed you mercy. Why didn't you show others mercy? That gives us something to think about, because we are that first servant. We owed God a great debt. We sinned, and we can't repay that. And so God sent his Son to pay the debt for us upon the cross. We now must do likewise. When someone sins against us, when someone else is broken, when we ourselves fail, rather than holding anger and wrath against them, we hold mercy and forgiveness out to them, forgiving ourselves, forgiving others. This is what makes us like God. So whatever might be in your heart that's troubling you, whatever might be bothering you, wherever you have been imperfect or broken, or when those in your life have been imperfect and broken, bring that to the Lord. Don't hold the grudge any longer. Give it to Him. Let Him heal you. By experiencing God's love and mercy, we know what true strength and power are.